The SCHD ETF is approaching the December ex-dividend date, and the ETF is also starting to finally move in the right direction. And with the December dividend historically being one that's full of growth, I think there is a good reason to believe that the next up and coming dividend by SCHD could be massive in size. Now in this video, I'm going to go over and explain why I think the SCHD ETF is on the brink of takeoff, and multiple reasons on why I think now could be one of the best times more than ever, and even possibly one of the last chances to get in on this dividend growth king of an ETF before it's too late. Now, if you own SCHD or have the interest in owning it in the future, make sure to please stick around, drop a like down below, and let's get right into it. Now, in case you came across my video and you have no idea what we're even really talking about, the SCHD ETF is the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, which is an ETF that tracks as closely as possible before fees and expenses the total return of the Dow Jones US Dividend 100 Index. Now, SCHD has historically been popular because it not only offers a nice starting dividend, but also has a ton of growth, which I'm going to show you here in a second. Now, looking at where SCHD is currently trading as of the filming of this video, it's actually finally up quite a bit from the most recent lows of $66.90 or so, trading at over $71 per share, which still year to date is down 5.34%. Which brings me back to my initial point that I think SCHD most likely has bottomed, at least in my humble opinion. Of course, I could be wrong, but I think this ETF has now bottomed and now will be slowly trading back towards all-time highs. Now, I'm going to explain my reasoning for this in a second, so make sure to stick around. But zooming out a little bit, SCHD is still up 174.57% on the max time frame, and believe it or not, this ETF was trading at almost $80 per share not even all that long ago. Now, with where SCHD is currently trading at, we're looking at around a 3.7% trailing 12-month dividend yield, so unfortunately, investors already are not going to be able to capture that starting 4% yield like we were able to just a few months ago, but still a 3.7% trailing 12-month dividend yield with massive dividend growth ahead, most likely, is exactly why I still personally have been buying as many shares as possible, especially before that up-and-coming ex-dividend date, which is right around the corner. Now, you might still be asking, well, why do you personally think the SCHD ETF is going to be moving up from here towards all-time highs? And of course, this is due to various reasons, but for one, just as of November 14th, we saw the entire stock market pump quite a bit after the most recent CPI report, which shows that inflation slows more than expected. So finally, we're seeing the numbers come in a little bit better on the inflation side of things. And to be more specific, some of the key points from the most recent consumer price index that says CPI was unchanged from September that compares with an expected rise of 0.1% according to Wall Street Journal survey of economists. Our annual basis CPI rose 3.2% versus the expected 3.3%. And the thought process, of course, is with the CPI report coming in a little bit lower than expected, this shows a promising future that inflation is finally starting to come down a little bit, which means what? Of course, the fact that the Fed could, in fact, be pausing more interest rate hikes and or even cutting interest rates sometime soon here. And to look a little bit deeper into the future rate hikes or rate pauses or even rate cuts, we see the next December 13th Fed meeting. It shows that there's 100% probability, most likely, of another rate pause. And then what's interesting from there is in January, it's more of the same. But in March of 2024, the Fed meeting is showing that there's a 76% chance of interest rates staying right where they are, but now a 24% chance that rates will be cut in just a few months ahead in March 2024. Now, of course, moving out throughout 2024, there's going to be even a percentage of probability that rates are going to be cut even lower in May. And the reality is that we don't exactly know, of course, what the Fed's going to do, if they're going to continue to pause rates or maybe cut rates even more aggressively than what's being priced in. But the fact of the matter is because the stock market is mostly forward looking, I think personally that without, of course, the potential black swan event, I think that the worst is most likely over on the interest rate front, which means a lot of the stocks that have been lagging in the SCHD ETF, some of the names being things like Verizon, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and others, I think that a majority of these names are finally going to be getting some more love from this point on, and we could see a massive rally up until the end of this year. So now that we looked a little bit into the SCHD ETF, and I explained why I think the most of the worst of the market's performance, especially some of the names within SCHD ETF, are now going to be sort of calmed down and even start moving back up. Looking a little bit deeper into the dividends paid by SCHD over the past few years, which is also very important and mostly the reason I made this video, because the SCHD ETF is going to be going ex-dividend sometime early next month in December. We're talking between probably December 6th and December 8th is when the ex-dividend date will be. Now, this is of course very important because as SCHD shareholders, like many of you are, including myself, the dividend that SCHD pays consistently on a quarterly basis is one of the main reasons on why you and I buy this ETF. Now, looking at the last few dividends that SCHD paid, we saw a 65-cent dividend paid back in September, a 66-cent dividend paid back in June, a 60-cent dividend paid back in March, and then last December, we saw a massive dividend of 70 cents paid, which was much higher than the previous December of 62 cents. So just to put things into perspective for you and to give you a visual, back in 2020, SCHD paid 60 cents on the December dividend. Then in 2021, SCHD paid 62 cents per share. And then finally, just last December, SCHD paid 70 cents per share on the December dividend. Now, to look a little bit deeper into how much of an increase the December dividends have been year over year when it comes to SCHD, last year back in December, the 70 cent per share dividend that was paid was a 13.5% year over year increase. Not to mention back in 2021, the dividend in December was a 3.0% increase. And then back in 2020, the December dividend increase was 29.1% increase year over year, which is absolutely huge. And as you look right here on the right column, you can see that year over year at least, up until this most recent June, SCHD's dividends have been increased anywhere from say 8%, 30%, 3%, 20%. And pretty much whatever quarter you really look at, there's been nice healthy increases, which is again, one of the main reasons on why I love this ETF. Now, of course, at this point, we're all just speculating on what the December dividend is going to look like, but this right here from Dividend Breeder on Twitter or on X says the current top 10 holdings of SCHD with most recent annual dividend increases, and these top 10 stocks make up 41% of SCHD. So these are some of the dividend increases that make up quite a bit of SCHD, just to give you an idea. So AVGO is up 12.2% dividend increase. Amgen up 9.8%. Verizon a small increase, but still an increase, 1.9%. Coca-Cola 4.5%, Pepsi 10%, Merck 5.8%. We got AbbVie at 4.7% increase, Cisco at 2.6%, Home Depot at 10%, and Texas Instrument at 4.8%. So the amount of dividend increases have been very healthy within some of the top holdings for SCHD, which once again leads me to believe that there's going to be a massive dividend that's going to be paid in December, or at least I hope so. But with that all said, I don't understand on why I wouldn't want to grab more shares of this high quality dividend growth ETF that has long-term high quality performance on multiple different time frames, and on top of that pays a nice starting dividend yield of around 3.7% with massive dividend growth on top of that, which means we are only going to get paid more and more in the future. At least we can hope so. But now I want to hear from you guys down below. In the case of SCHD or the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF and the future dividend that's going to be paid in December and beyond, comment down below your best guess on the December dividend, and later on we'll come back to this video and see who is actually closest. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like down below and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.